Ireland, Chile, and from this race, Australia, the Netherlands, and...
We'll return back to the start, and now it's going to be the men's pair. The action keeps coming.
As we have the start list for semi-final AB, number 1, it is Great Britain, Switzerland, Denmark, USA, Croatia and Italy.
Ollie Griffith and Tom George, Lucerne winners over on the far side. European champions, they beat the British. Roman Riesli, Andre Gulick. Some people's pick for gold here, the Swiss pair, coached by Ian Wright. Fred Visterville and Joachim Sutton, they damaged their boat, or that's the Swiss we're looking at. The Danes damaged their boat. It fell off the top rack. They broke their riggers. They had to tape their boat up. Joachim Sutton in the stroke seat has just come back from rowing across the Pacific from California to Hawaii. Bender and Olsen, the Americans, in lane 4. They've got a chance of qualifying. The Lontrich brothers, sorry, Greg and I wrote them off in the quarterfinals, but they did come through. Pat and Anton, David Comini and Giovanni Codato on this near side. There are the Italians, Giovanni Codato on the left.
So many stories in this race, as you say, Martin. You can see the wind ruffling the shirts even on the start line there. A great start for the British at the top of the screen. As we said, the Swiss beside them made a really nice, smooth start as well. Were they the ones that you said some people's pick for a gold medal here?
Yeah, I think, you know, I have seen the Swiss do really well.
Swiss made a little correction there. Look, they're outside the lane. They've got to make sure they don't hit those boys as they try and get back in.
Good spot, Greg. Really good spot. What's
got to thank the producer, really, for showing us the picture.
Yeah.
The Dutch were in lane 2 in the previous race and also went off their lane. I wonder if there's, if it's a bit swirly there. I'm sure that's just a coincidence that happened in the same lane. But I wonder if it is a bit swirly and a bit tricky up at the start in terms of the breeze.
Yeah, I'm sure it's a bit swirly and difficult. They've got the shoes that hold the bow balls in position, so they should be straight as they go off. But yeah, obviously not easy in that first 250.
Bender and Olsen from the USA, the men from Vermont and Washington. Evan Olsen, our commentary colleague, Victor Pivac's mate at the University of Washington. They look really good out there in the first quarter, don't they?
Yeah, they're going to need to be smooth in these conditions, aren't they? And they do look like they're rowing that pair pretty well in these difficult conditions. I was with Adrian Cassidy yesterday, who was saying how Washington were allowed to row in pairs, but not 8s during lockdown. So a lot of the Washington rowers actually spend a lot of time in pairs, so have that little bit better boat feel, which would help them today.
As we see here, the Swiss, I think, starting to make an early move on the British. I was thinking, oh, the British look like they're walking away with this in the first quarter, but the Swiss have something to say about it. And in fact, their bow ball looks like it's edging ever closer. As we come through the first 500 metre, it is Great Britain, Switzerland, USA, Denmark, Croatia and Italy, but you could throw a blanket across that field.
And a reminder, if you just tuned in, this is the semi-final of the World Rowing Championships. You're listening to me, Martin Cross, Greg Searle and Sarah Cook. The first 3 crews in this race will go straight to the A final and qualify their boats for the Paris Olympics. It's a massive deal in the sport. Great Britain lead, Denmark in second. Last time I looked, it was the USA in 3rd place. Denmark a little bit off the back, surprised about them. And they are the runners and riders, I think, for the top 3 places.
Yeah, Martin Cross, you said it, that the Danes had a problem yesterday when their boat fell off the trailer. They had to get it back together, had to put it back together. You wonder how much that might have thrown them. But how about the front of the field? We watched the European Championships. The European Championships, it was Great Britain up against Switzerland, and the Swiss came through and won. I wonder how they'll go today.
I think the Americans as well, we keep talking about that race for 3rd and 4th. Obviously, everyone wants to win. But today, the job is to be in the top 3, and the Americans have pushed themselves very clearly into that 3rd qualifying position with Croatia, Italy and Denmark locked together at the back of the field. So there's almost 2 races unfolding here.
We talk about the American university system with the American pair, but of course it's got a lot to do with the men in these boats. Tom George at Princeton, Ollie Griffith from Yale, Andy Gulick in terms of Switzerland, also from Yale. A lot of American university time and effort has gone into these pairs, and particularly from Yale University, I'd suggest.
Yeah, we got a lot of Yale people. Have Fergus Hamilton in the next race as well, also rode at Yale. He's in the Australian pair. But as Sarah Cook has said, there's 3 getting away from the rest of the field. A little bit of clear water for that American pair. You wonder whether they've gone too hard too early. Will the rest of the field catch up with them? The British will be pleased with what they're seeing here. They're pushing out the Swiss pair, who came back at them at the European Championships. At the moment have moved out to nearly a length.
I think that's a great response there from the Brits to start to open up clear water on the Swiss now. They would know that the Swiss have a last 500, and I presume through this middle 1,000 of the race would be looking to get that distance in to help maybe mitigate that fast finish.
Yeah, you wonder how the British will like this headwind, that they're big, strong men, strong on the rowing machine, and whether just leaning into this headwind suits them. They're 35 strokes a minute. That's pretty much the same rate right across the whole field as we look here against this Swiss pair, who Martin and I saw right at the beginning of the year back in Zagreb, and we thought, gosh, they look like they're rowing well, and they're still rowing well now, but the gap is getting bigger.
Yeah, the British have really moved on in that third quarter. I just saw Tom George just spin his hands, the British stroke man. Sub 540 on the 2K ergo. There's the Danes at the back of the field. Joachim Sutton, the man who did exercises in that small cabin as he was rowing across the Pacific to try and keep his body in shape. I think he's going to have to try and finish in the top 5 of the B final if he hopes his pair's going to qualify for the Olympics, which is the main job he's come here for. Britain out in front, coming up to the last 1,500 metres. A sensational row from William Bender and Evan Olsen, coached by Bill Manning III.
As they come past the beach clubs here and through the 1,500 metre, it is still the British tracking just behind, but with open water between them is the Swiss. USA clearly in that third qualifying position, and then a race unfolding behind them between Croatia and Italy. They've got a lot of work to do if they want to catch any of these 3 leading crews.
Yeah, but can they do it? Can the Lončarić brothers from Croatia do what they did yesterday when Martin Cross and I thought they couldn't close the gap in the last 500? They're going to have to sprint again if they're to get past this American pair, who will know what's coming, and you can see them, looks on their faces. Olsen and Bender are looking strong, but the Croatians are coming, Martin.
They had that sprint, Pat Lončarić and Anton Lončarić, the twins, and they are moving ever closer. I know your hearts will be in your mouth if you're watching this in the USA and in Croatia. The Lončarićs had an amazing surge, and it was in the last 250. We're still not in the red boys yet.
We haven't hit the red boys yet. At the top of the screen, it looks like America and Switzerland settled in their position, but the Swiss are looking to move back here. Are they going to close this gap? Remember, it's been a long race in a big headwind. They're in the red boys now. Can the Americans hold on?
We're looking at Bender and Olsen there, Sarah, and the Croatians are closing. Here they come. They've got the overlap.
They're coming into the last couple of 100 metres here. The British still have the lead. I think it's going to be too much for the Swiss to get back at them. But look at this race unfolding for the third and final qualifying position. USA still has the advantage, but the Croatians are stepping. They're moving again. They're up at 39 strokes per minute. The Americans are answering.
Well, you saw the gap there as we're looking at the Swiss. They look solid in that second qualifying position. Here we go. It's Great Britain across the line first. Switzerland are going to be second. The Croatian brothers went for it, but it looks like they've had to stop. They've had to save themselves. America get that third qualifying place. And here we see the Lončarić brothers. It was all too much yesterday. They were able to do it. Today was a step up, and they get 4th place ahead of Italy and then Denmark coming in 6th.
Commanding row from the British, but a sensational result for American rowing. Their new performance director, the Dutchman Jose Verdonkschot, will be absolutely delighted. He's qualified 2 boats for the Paris Olympics already. He hopes to qualify maybe 8, possibly 9 here from the World Championships, and that is a fantastic day for the Americans. The Swiss, they'll be pleased. The Americans, their hand, look at him, he's smiling all over his face.
Bender and Olsen very pleased with that as they're splashing water onto their legs, making sure they're getting their shoes wet, I imagine, as well. Rowers know why you do that, but they'll be just celebrating, enjoying the moment. And as you say, Jose Verdonkschot has done a good job, it looks like, with this American team, and will be wanting to get those boats qualified for the Paris Games.